So a new video game adaptation is in theaters. Uncharted, directed by Ruben Fleischer. Let's talk about it. Fortune favors the bold. A young street-smart Nathan Drake and his wisecracking partner Victor Sullivan embark on a dangerous pursuit of the greatest treasure never found, while also tracking clues that may lead to Nathan's long-lost brother. So Uncharted follows Nathan Drake, who is kind of like your Indiana Jones type character. He definitely has his own personality, and I think that Tom Holland's performance is actually very likable. I mean, he's likable in pretty much anything he does, but I think he really owned the character, and I think I was actually rooting for him on his journey. It's important to care about characters even in dumb video game adaptations, but I actually think that this movie is a top tier video game adaptation. In terms of the story, this is pretty much in line with the Uncharted video game franchise. I haven't played all of them, but they usually kind of have these fantastical adventures, very high on the action sequences. So you have just like, in this case, you need CGI for the type of stuff that you need to replicate if you're gonna go for the video games like action level. So just seeing the trailer, you can kind of see what they're going for here. But the story follows Magellan, and he's the guy that went across the world, or as the movie points out, it wasn't literally him, and there turns out to be a long lost pile of just a bunch of gold. So I think the story is exciting enough, and I think it fits in line with what you can expect from the franchise. In terms of the cinematography, I think it was pretty good. Like, everything was well lit. They kind of go for that more orange look, especially because a lot of the movie takes place in Spain, so they kind of want maybe that warmth. So I think it works well. In terms of the score, I didn't particularly notice it too much. It did its job, but nothing like an earworm that you're gonna be remembering any time after you watch the movie. In terms of the acting, like I said, Tom Holland is very likable. You also have Mark Wahlberg playing Sully. Sully in the video games, I know, is usually he is an older character, but I think it makes sense to cast a little younger so that maybe there's some longevity to this franchise, especially when you have movies that are probably gonna take 2-year breaks in between. But Mark does a good job. You know, what you see is what you get with Mark Wahlberg, so if you're a fan, you're a fan, and if you're not a fan, then he doesn't do anything different here than what you can expect from him.
I'm like literally in a Papa John's right now.
The other supporting characters did serviceable jobs. The pacing was pretty good. The story's interesting, and the way the action is filmed is actually pretty nice, especially in the third act, just the main set piece of the movie. I know they have it in the second trailer, and I think it was exciting. And maybe with some more familiar music, it might have gotten a better reaction out of me, but I still thought it was pretty fun. Like I said, I think the pacing of this movie is pretty good. I never felt like it dragged too much. In terms of how the characters are written, I think the influence of Tom Holland being Spider-Man, I don't know if maybe they wrote the character more in line with how his Peter Parker is, or maybe that's just how he came at the role from a performance standpoint. But he's just like this very trusting guy, and they try to set up in this movie that there's stakes, like, oh, you could get double crossed. But it never gets too serious or anything. I mean, this is a PG-13 movie. I kind of wish maybe it was a little bit more intense, but for an adaptation, I think it's okay. You just have him being way too trusting of people that you know are gonna backstab him. And instead of coming off as like charming, I guess, it's more like he's naive. Overall, I thought the movie was fun anyways. I had fun in terms of the set pieces, the action, like there's good chase scenes. Like you could always tell when it's CGI, obviously in movies like this, but I think it's a good popcorn flick. So I'm gonna give Uncharted a 3 out of 5.
Did you watch Uncharted? Are you gonna watch it this weekend? What are your thoughts on it? Leave your thoughts down below, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.